during Women's History Month, we're sharing some of the stories that come from our women leaders. In the next several minutes, you'll hear from Shaitia Spruell, a program manager with the State Treasurer's Office of Economic Empowerment.
I actually started out in banking and then ended up in education. I worked for a bank in Western Mass and Northern Connecticut. And then from there, I transferred into the education system, working for a couple different high schools in Springfield and Holyoke. Um, and then I ended up being a program assistant for a grant that worked with high school students. So I was really into working with young people and being in the community and just being a resource to um, my friends, my family, and like anybody in between. And from there, I ended up as a organizer for our Sora May pilot with the Office of Economic Empowerment. And that role really encompassed all of that stuff. So working in the community, meeting different people all the time, um, being a resource in the community, especially being a resource in Western Mass in Springfield, where I was born and raised. Um, it was really easy to talk to people about the program and talk about all of the great things we were doing at the Office of Economic Empowerment. And I felt like I was bringing resources to my community that I love. So it was just really a good fit for me. Um, and then since then, I've been promoted to the senior program officer where I oversee a couple more programs and I take on some more leadership roles within the office. So it's been a pattern of growth and really just soaking up everything that I can learn.
What is one challenge that women face today, both in society and or the workplace?
I think one of the biggest issues, especially being in the middle of this health crisis, is not only like pay equity, but job equity and resource equity. So I think equity is an issue for us, but I also think that a lot of that could be changed by increasing women's visibility in places and spaces of leadership and decision making. Um, I think by bringing more diverse experiences to the table will not only enrich whatever comes out of that table, comes from that table, but it'll also enrich the community, I think. And we just have to spend more time making sure that we have women at the table and women from all kinds of backgrounds. And then we'll start to see a shift in our culture and um, really what leadership looks like.
What is a piece of advice you would share to young women who wish to hold a leadership role one day?
I would encourage young women to. I'm thinking about myself as a kid and like as a teenager in high school and things like that. There was always women that I looked up to, and I was like, wow, I would love to just talk to them and maybe like just get to know their journey or ask them some questions about their like I would have these feelings, but I would be so shy and like they don't want to talk to me or they don't want anything to do with me. And so I would encourage girls and women, young women who are feeling that way to just go ahead and ask because odds are that woman is probably thinking the same thing about you and wants to get to know you as well too. So don't be afraid to like, put that first foot forward when it comes to networking and building relationships. Um, I don't really believe in bad relationships. I think people don't get along sometimes, but I always think that there is a value in a relationship that you have with another human one way or another. So I'm always encouraging young women to like, go ahead, go ask a question, shake a hand, network. It's not a bad thing.
Now, looking back at your career journey and what you had to do to get where you are today, what are some words that you would share to your younger self?
I would have to tell her that that urge that you feel to speak up for others and always try to mediate or fix the problem, find a solution to a challenge, all of that energy that you feel when you come across somebody who needs help and you just want to help them, yes, 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 all the time. I think that you should harness that and um, and understand that that's called advocacy, and that it's going to come in handy when you get older. But lean into it and don't be shy. You know, there's room for people like you. And I always kind of felt weird because I was the only one that seemed to like really care about things like passionately, to the point where emotions were involved, invested. Like that's how much I really care about helping people and making sure that I'm delivering the right information, or going about things the right way. I want to be able to help. But it took me a long time to get to that point where I understood what that was and how I can use it, um, for not only to advocate for myself, but for people like me coming from my community and my child. And it just was, I think that it's something that I would tell myself to lean into more.
In your opinion, what do we need to do in society to create a gender equal world?
I think that goes back to my point about increasing visibility. Um, I think naturally, if we are seeing ourselves in spaces that are meaningful and impactful, we'll see more young ladies leaning into that as and aspiring to that, making that a goal. I think we have a lot of very talented, inspirational women that are usually in our networks already, and we just haven't really tapped into them. So I think that increasing that visibility, encouraging networking, and building relationships, I think that will then lead to the change that we want to see.